So for the last week, we studied some concept in programming. I will make a general review, so I can answer some of your questions in your check-in. Now, not all of you completed your check-in. If you don't see this sign, which is called checked one, that means your check-in is not completed. Okay? The check-in is not always check this stuff. You need to answer this question so I know what did you understand, what you did not understand. So if you did not find this sign like that, you know your check-in is not completed. But anyway, let's go back here to our VS Code and let's review a few concepts. Now, last week we start with variables. I told you variables are boxes. We use them to store value. Yes. So what is a variable? Quite quickly, a variable is just a box to store value or data. Quite either data or just a value. Now we study in JavaScript. We have data type. Can anyone tell me what different data types we have in JavaScript? Yes.
Yes, primitive, reference.
Yes, so we have two types of data here. We have what you call primitive data type, and we have what we call the reference data type. Now, primitive data type, we've seen an example, for example, number. And in JavaScript, there is no difference between integer and float. They are just number. We study string. We study also Boolean. A Boolean could be a true or false. Undefined, null, symbol. And also we have a new data type, actually, which is called big int. Voila. Now, with those, we don't use them a lot here. You don't need them. It's a good idea now to focus on these 5 different data types. So I'm going to remove those for now and focus on this one. The reference data type, we have 3 types, and we have object arrays and function. Array and function. I think that should be, the general idea should be quite clear here. What you need to understand also that normally in JavaScript, the string here has a lot of method because we need to allow to manipulate string. Also number have some method, Boolean, not that much. Undefined and null has no method at all. 0 methods. They don't have any method because simply null and undefined, that means they're nothing. They don't have any value. What do I mean by that? Well, let's declare a variable and see what's going on. So I can just say const. Let's say message. Voila. And here I can just give it a value. Any value should work. It's fine. This is, of course, a string literal here. Now, what if I want to do some stuff with this string? I want, for example, to make all of it uppercase or lowercase, or I want to know the index of specific character, or I want to loop through this string, or so I can do a lot of stuff to manipulate my string. So let's go step by step here. Let's just log here, and I will log my message. Now, if I say dot, notice what will happen. As you can see, I have a lot of method. And also actually have a few properties here. Now, the difference between the method and property, as you can see here, if you see this cube here in purple, that means it's method. Also, if you read it here, it will tell you it's a method, as you can see here. But the property is quite different, as you can see, it is in blue. So what is the length first? Well, the length, it will tell you how many characters do you have inside your string. And if I'm going to count them here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the white space also, it's 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. If I go to my console, as you can see, it print me 11 here. Knowing the length of the string is quite important. We use it a lot in programming. But it's not just the length here. There's a lot of other property or a lot of method here. So let's look, for example, let's say I want to make my string uppercase. In order to do so, I can just say to uppercase, we have this method here. And because it's a method, that means I need to add parentheses because simply it's a function. A method is a function, as I told you. It's just when this function inside an object, we call it a method. And your VS Code will tell you that here, This method is convert all the alphabetic character into uppercase. And what's the value it return? It will return a string, of course. So if I go here, as you can see, everything is being uppercase. If I want to do the lowercase, as you can guess, it's the same idea here. There's another method which is called to lowercase. Same idea here. Now, what if I want to know what's the index of O, for example? Well, to know the index of O, also we have a method actually. So if I can just say log, and I can take my message, and I can just use a property here, which is called index of, and the index of here, it will tell me what is the index of specific character. For example, I want to know is what's the index of O. So what is the index of O here? Can anyone tell me what's the index of O here?
4.
Here, O, this character. What is the index of this character?
4.
Oh,
So it will be 0. I'm start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be
yes.
4 here. And if I go here, as you can see, it gave me 4. Okay, now if I try to access or try to search for index of a character which does not exist. Now in Hello World, as you can see, do we have X? We do not have X. But what if I'm trying to find the index of X? What do you think it will give me?
Undefined.
How much? Don't be scared. Only.
False or undefined.
No, there's nothing called false or undefined here. What you need to do, you need to hover over this method. First, you need to know how this method works. So this method, as you can see, is telling you it return a number. That means it cannot return a string or anything. So what it's trying to do here, it will try to return the index of specific character. If it does not find it, it will return.
It's -1, I think.
Yes, indeed. So it will return. Now, normally in JavaScript, we do not have negative indexes. In Python, we do. But in JavaScript, we can have -1. And -1 means that this character here does not exist in this string. It cannot find the index of this character, which is X, because simply X does not exist in my message. And as you can see, it's giving me -1. So -1, if I want to search for specific index or specific character index, I can use the index of, and you need to remember, if the index of is -1, that means this character does not exist in my string. And that's important because like that, we will know if specific character exists in our string or not. Yes?
Yes.
Good. Of course, we have a lot of other stuff here. Include, let's go to include. So what does include do? You don't have to remember all of them, but of course, in the future, you're going to use all of them. So what does includes do? Well, includes is also one of the string method here. It will check if a specific character is included inside the string or not. So for example, if I hover over this one here, it will tell you it return a Boolean. So any method you learn, first you need to know what it do, what this method is doing, and second, what does it return? So it returns true if the search string appear in the substring of the result of covering object at once. So if you don't understand what that's supposed to mean, it's simply telling you. So if we go to our console here, it's telling us false. Why does it tell us false? Because simply X is not inside my message here. So if I try with, for example, L, yes, L is supposed to be inside this one. And as you can see, it gives me true. And not just one character I can take multiple characters, as you can see. And like that, I can know if a substring, part of the string, included inside my string or not. If I say hello, it will give me true. Why? Because hello is included inside my message here. Clear? Yes?
Yes.
Good. Now, a string, as I told you, we have a lot of methods. You can go through them. We will learn them a lot during the project one by one. The most important thing, whenever you are learning a method, you can go to the documentation to know what this method is doing and what is return value. That's quite important because I did not create this method. This method is built in JavaScript. So your job to know how they work and what is the return value. That's first. So that string here, numbers, also you know the numbers. We have a few methods related to numbers. For example, if I say const age, it's equal to 13, for example. And now here, if I want to log something, I'm logging just to see the result, because if I don't log it, I cannot see the result. If I say age dot, So we have some here, some stuff here. So toString here, I can use toString, just convert it to string. I can just say toFix, that's the most used one here. So what does toFix do? Well, toFix what's going to do here, it will show you how many index. For example, if I want 13 here and I want 20 after it or 30 after it, and that's quite very important actually when we have, let's say 13.25 like that. This is not an age. Let's say this is height or something. So what this toFix is going to do here, of course, if I hover over it here, this method here, it will return us actually a string. So it will take this number here and I want it to be fixed to 4. So what's that supposed to mean? Let's see. Let's go here. Age is not defined. Why age is not defined? Well, because it's not an age, it's height now. Voila. If I do so and I go here, notice how many characters I have after the floating number, 2500. And of course, why? Because I defined it here, the number of the digit after the decimal point here, or after the float point here. It's quite useful when I want to format my number in a specific way, but you have to understand now toFix here, it will return you actually a string. So it will not give you a number, okay? It will take your number and after that, it will try to add certain number of digits. And the return value, as you can see, it will be a string. And I can confirm that because if I go here, notice it's in white color. But if I try to log the height itself, notice it will be in a different color. And also I can use type of operator to tell me, as you can see, there is difference between the two. This one in one color, this one is one color. Also, I can use type of. So let's try to use type of, and it will, this one, it will give me a number, and the other one, it will give me a string. Is the idea clear? Yes.
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 Good.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
So string and numbers, mostly we do it with string. String has a lot of method because we normally manipulate the string a lot. Boolean, it doesn't have a lot of, actually it has one method only. We don't use it normally. So we don't have a lot of method on Boolean or even a numbers are very few, just when I'm trying to format my number in a specific way. String has a lot of method. We need to manipulate the string a lot in JavaScript. We have then after that undefined and null, they have no method at all. Why? Because undefined it has no value. So it will have no method. So if I try to do, for example, here, if I say const, maybe I can just say salary, it's equal to undefined. If I do so, and now if I try to, let's log also so we can see the result. If I say salary dot, if I say dot, notice I don't have any method at all because simply it's undefined, and undefined means nothing. And because it's nothing, I will have no method on it. Same for null. If I just define that data type as null and try to do it, same idea, I don't have any method. Yes, should be clear.
Yes.
Good. So after we've seen the data type here, it will be a good idea to have a look here at some statement here, especially conditional statement. So we have in conditional statement here, if, else if, and else. You need to understand here, normally if we have the three of them, we could have only one if and one else. And we could have multiple else if depending on our what we need. That's first. Second, we don't have to have these two. We could have if alone. So if separated, if we have just one condition we need to check, we can use just if. It's fine. You cannot use else alone. So if you have, you cannot just simply use else alone. So you need an if. Let me show you an example. So I can just say const age, it's equal to 13, for example. And let me just comment this one so I don't have any problems here. So what I can do here, I can just, if I need one condition, I can use only if. I can just say, for example, if age is greater than 18, which is the normal age here, I can type my message. I am allowed to do so. That's okay. So I'm just checking if the age is greater than 18, and if this condition, of course, this condition, it will be evaluated either to true or false. In this type of statement, if statement, this guy here must be a Boolean. If it's not a Boolean, JavaScript is trying to convert it to a Boolean. So that's what we call the concept of truthiness and falseness, true or false. Why? Because as I told you, JavaScript need a Boolean here. If it's not a Boolean, it cannot decide if it's going to execute this block or not. If I try to do that and I go to my console, of course, as you can see, the age is 13. 30 and 30 is greater than 18. So this one should be logged in my console. And as you can see, you are an adult. Now I can have also, as I told you, if, and I can have else. Now we use if else if you want one part of the code to be executed. What do I mean by that? Well, that means if the if condition here does not execute it, I have no other options. This one, it will be executed. So you have two possibilities here. Either the if condition here, whatever, if this condition is true, that means here, this block is, of course, going to be executed. If this one is not executed, this one, it will be executed. So we have two options. One of them, it will be executed no matter what. For example, if I make the age 13, still will be working without any problem. You are an adult. But if I try the age, for example, 3, which is 3 years, of course, we tell you are not an adult. As I told you, one block of this code, either the if block or the else block is going to be executed. And again, it depends what do you want. You can use if alone, you can use if else alone, but now you can also, if you want to include more conditions here, you can use also else if. And in else if, as you can see now, I can add more conditions. For example, if the age is 18, I want to add another condition, you are 18, and so on. In this case here, one of these three conditions, it will be executed. So it will check the age. If the age is greater than 18, it is not greater than 18 because it's 3. Then it will go to the second condition here. If the age is strictly equal to 18, well, it's not really because the value is 3. That means it will go to the else. So one of these blocks is going to be executed depending on the condition I have. In the else statement, we don't need any condition. Why? Because it will check this one. If this one is false, that means this guy here, it will be executed. Is the if statement, conditional statement is quite clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So what we can do also, there is another way here to execute or to make some conditions. That's what you call the switch statement. Now the difference between the two, again, sometimes is matter of readability, but most of the time when we deal with simple value, we use switch statement because in switch statement we cannot have condition like that. Well, let me show you an example. So if I say, for example, const, for example, let's just name it something, fruit. Okay, fruit is okay. So I have certain type of fruit, which is apple here. So as you can see, this is a simple value. And this simple value, I still can use if else if I want to. But in this case, I can use both because this is a simple value and it's fine. I can even use if else. But it comes now to matter of readability or preference. So for you, if you think this one is readable, that's fine. If you don't think it's readable, you can go with the switch statement. So how does the switch statement work? Well, all I need to do, I need to just switch and I need to pass my value. And here I will just say fruit, and after that I need the body of the switch statement. Now I will have different cases where I can just say case like that. And here case, I need to pass the value. Let's say case of apple. What do I want to do? So I need to add colon, and I need to add console.log an apple or whatever you want to. And here I need to break. Remember, I need to break here. If I don't break, it will go through all the cases, and that's not what I want to. Now I can take another case here. So let's say case, in case of banana, for example, same idea, I can do something. I can take another case. For example, let's take orange as well. So case orange. And here I can console.log orange, depending on my needs, and I break. And normally I should have a default value. The default value, it will be executed when, if none of the condition above is being met. What do I mean by that? For example, let's say this guy here, it's pineapple, for example. So this one is not pineapple, this one is not pineapple, this one is not pineapple. So what's going on here? At first, it will check this string here. and it will compare it to this case. If it met, so this condition was true, it will execute, and then it will break, it will stop. Because the idea of the switch statement also, we want one case to be executed. We don't want multiple cases to be executed. So that's the reason why it will check through this one here. Is it apple? No, it's not an apple. It's not banana. It's not orange. Then it will go to the default case here. The default case is very similar to else, because also is the if else statement. If this condition is not true, if this condition is not true, then I have no option. It will go through the else. Same idea. Now, in some cases, especially when we are dealing with simple data, switch statement, it's more readable. Okay, but in switch statement now, the spaces here, the indentation is quite important, just like Python if you're going to use it. So you cannot just simply come and do this one like that, and do this one like that, and do this one like that, and expect that your code is going to work. No, this spacing here is quite important. So you will have cases, and after that, you need to indent it here, either 2 or 4 spaces like that. So the indentation here in this example of switch is quite important. Now, if you want, you cannot use the switch statement. I can do the same stuff here using if else statement. So let's try to see how can we do it. Well, it will be the same example again. So I can just say if fruit is apple, then I'm gonna console.log apple. And here I don't need really to do any break statement or anything, because I have multiple conditions here, and one of these conditions is gonna be executed. And here I can also check for banana. I can also check for orange. And at last, I want, if none of this case above is being true, it's not being executed, then I need the else statement here. And voila, as you can see here. The choice is yours to use whatever you want to, but if else, if statement, we use it if the conditions are quite complex. If the conditions are quite complex here, if I'm trying to make a range, or for something, for example, if the number is greater than 18 or less than 28, I cannot do that with the switch statement. Switch statement, normally we deal with like a simple variable, but simple values here, as you can see. Is the difference quite clear?
Yes.
The rest?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So that's very quickly through different if statement or switch statement. Now we have loops. And loops. Now in JavaScript, we have certain type of loops. So first we have for loop, then we have while loop, then we have for off loop, then we have for in loop. Now first, to make a choice, because I've seen one of your question, I don't know what to decide which loop to use. Well, when we are using, now here, if I have an object, I have no other choice but to use for in. So if I have an object, voila. Now here, for off, I can use it with array. Or normally we use it with array. Now array including string, because as I told you, a string is just array of character. So when I say array, I mean string as well. So for off, I can use it with string and arrays. Well, for loop also, I can use it with string and arrays. String and arrays like that. That's fine. While loop here, well, while loop depend on here. If I do not know how many times, so I can use it with anything. When I'm comparing while and for loop here, I can use it with whatever I want to. I can use it also with array and string. But the problem here, or the point here, or how can we distinguish between the two? When we use while loop, when we don't know, no idea how many times we are going to loop. So if we don't know how many times we're going to loop, it's a good idea to use while loop. Now for loop, if we know how many times we're going to loop, so if I want to loop 10 times or 20 times, well, I should use for loop here. But what if I want to ask the user for something and I am not sure if the user is going to enter this something or not? So I need to ask the user again, but I don't know how many times I'm going to ask the user. In this case, I have no other option. I need to use the while loop. Because for loop here, I need to know how many times. But when I'm asking the user, I do not know how many times I will ask the user. Because maybe the first time the user enter empty string, the other time he input another value, which is not the value I want to. So I don't know how many times I need to loop. Now you may ask me this question here, if for of loop we use it with array and for also we use it with array, then which one is better? Any idea which one is better? So we can use for loop and for of loop with array. Which one is better to use?
It depends, whatever according to our need. We use certain loops for whenever we have an array. So it depends upon.
Okay. Any other idea? Both for loop and for of loop, we use it with array and string. Of course, an array here and a string. Again, when I say array, I mean string as well. Yes. Well, in general, for loop is faster. Here, it's slower. Voila. That's the general idea. This one is faster. For loop is faster. And for of is slower comparing to for loop here. But the idea here, for of, I will never encounter an infinite loop, because for of it will loop certain times, and these certain times it will be how many items I have inside my array. But if I am not careful with for loop, I may end up with infinite loop. So each has advantage and disadvantage. But in general, for loop is faster if you know how to loop through an array without causing an infinite loop here. This one is better option. Well, this one is slower, but again, here I will never encounter an infinite loop. Why? Because this guy here, for of, it will loop. So if I have 10 items inside my array, it will loop 10 times, and that's it. But if for loop here, it depends on my condition. Is the idea clear when to use which loop? Yes or no?
Yeah.
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 Good. Again, for in, we use it with objects. That's very easy to know where to use it. That should be simple. While loop, I told you, if you do not know how many times you're going to loop, you should use while loop. If you know how many times you're going to loop, well, you have two options, either for loop, and mostly we use it with arrays and strings, and for of loop. Which one to use? Well, for loop is faster, and I will show you what do I mean by faster now. For of is slower, but again, here the advantage of for of here, you will never encounter an infinite loop. But with for here, if you are not careful, you will encounter an infinite loop. Let's take some examples. So let's start first with the for in, because it's, so I want to get rid of it because it's just used with objects, so for in. So for in loop here, of course, I need to create an object, so I can just say const person. And here, this person could have a name, could have an age, it could have a city, it could have a profession. So you can add as long as you want to have the property here. And here, of course, I need to add a comma here. So as you can see, the object, as I told you, it's key value pairs, and key value pairs are separated by comma, as you can see. Of course, between the key and the value, we need colon. So that's the syntax here. Now, if I want to loop through all the property inside my object, well, the option I have, it will be for in loop. So how is the syntax? Well, I can simply just say for. I need to declare a variable here, let key in person. In my object, when my object is called person. Now, why do I name it key? Because what will happen here when I use, for in. So what will happen here when I use this loop here, it will go into loops through my property here, the keys here, not the value, the keys here. So it will loop first. The first time the key here, it will be name. The second time it will be age. The third time it will be city. The fourth time it will be profession here. Now my question for you, did this loop here, could I have an infinite loop using for in or no?
No.
No, indeed. Why? Because here it will loop depending how many keys I have in my object. And as you can see, I have 4 keys. That means this loop is gonna run 4 times. That's it. So it's just like for of loop also, I will never encounter an infinite loop. So here, just to show you, let's log the key. So if I try to log the key here, I want just the key now. What's going to log here, of course, is going to log the first one name, the second one age, the third one cities, the fourth one is profession. If I go to my console, as you can see, name, age, city, profession. Now, most of the time, when we are looping through the object here, we don't want only the key. we only need the value of the key as well. So how can I get the value of this key? Well, it's quite simple. I can use bracket key and not bracket index because this is an object. So all I have to do to access the value, all I have to do, I can just type the name of my object and then bracket key. And here it will give me now, here it will give me the key, and here it will give me the value. So if I go here, and voila, as you can see, name is John, age 13, city, New York, profession, developer. And of course, here I can have more property if I want to here. Is married, whatever, you can add more, whatever you want to. Let's just make it PR, that's fine. If I go here, it will automatically loop through them here, as you can see. So it loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Why? Because I have 6 property, as you can see, or 6 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is the for in loop is clear. When to use it and how to use it.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So here, when I'm declaring the key, I can use the keyword const or let. Both are acceptable. It will not cause a trouble for me. So I can just say const like that, and still it will give me the same result. That's fine. Why? Because each time I am looping here the key, it will create a new variable actually for me. The first one here, it will be name. The second one, it will be age. The third one, it will be city, and profession is married and hobby. So each time I am looping here, it will create a new variable for me. It will not be the same variable. It will create a new variable for me. That's the reason why I can use const. You can use either const or let, it doesn't matter really. Most of the time we go with const. Why? Because as I told you, it's a good idea to go with const unless you need to change the value of the variable. Here, I don't want to change the key. I don't want to change the value of the key. I just want to access them. I want to read them. That's it. Okay, foreign should be okay. Let's go to the second one here, which is while loop. So while loop, you need to understand we use while loop when we do not know how many times we're going to loop. An easy example for that when we are dealing with users. For example, let me ask the user, I want you to enter the number or the number 15, for example. So my objective, what I want to achieve here, I want to ask the user again. And so if the user did not enter 15, I will ask him again and again and again until the user did what I asked him to do. But here, when I am trying to ask the user, I do not really know how many times the user, maybe the first time the user entered 15, that's okay. But maybe another user, he just enter 16 and then enter 15. Maybe another user enter 10 different value which are not 15 and then enter 15. So I do not know how many times I'm going to loop. And in order to do so, I can just use while loop here. So let's try to use while loop in this case and try to ask the user for number 15. So to do so here, I need to just declare a variable. Why? Because I want to grab this value here, grab the user input. So I can just simply declare a variable here. I can just say let user input. And here I can give it a value or I don't give it a value. It really doesn't matter here. So I declare my variable here, but I did not initialize it. Now I can use my while loop here. And what I can do it in multiple ways. I can just say while true, and then after that I can use break, or I can simply say while, let's say, well, actually, let me make it true like that. While true. Now, you need to understand here, because true is always true, that means this one, it will be an infinite loop. Because it's an infinite loop, I want to break my loop at some point, because if I don't break my loop, it will be infinite loop. That's not what I want to. So what I'm going to do here, well, I can just, again, reassign user input and ask the user, for example, so to ask the user for input, I need to use prompt. I can just say, please enter the number 15. So the message will be, please enter the number 15. So here in this example, I want the number 15. If the user did not enter 15, I will not break my loop. I will ask the user again and again. If he enter 15, then I'm gonna break my loop. Well, what I'm going to do here, first I need to understand what does prom return. So prom return a string or null. So null here, if the user just click cancel, and if other than that, it will give me a string. So what I'm going to do here, well, as you can see, I can just say if user input, like that. If user input, it's strictly equal to 15. Why I'm doing here 15 as a string? Why I'm doing 15 as a string? Why not as a number?
Because input always value string.
String, yeah.
All the time this guy here is a prompt, it will return me a string or null. So I'm checking here, I'm saying if the user input is 15 here as a string, or I can just convert this one to a number, it is possible as well. I don't want to convert it to a number, I'm just checking if it's 15, then what I'm going to do here, I can just break. Voila. Else I'm not gonna break. So now here my loop is gonna run again and again and again until the user enter 15. If the user did not enter 15, simply my loop is gonna ask him again and again. So I don't know really here how many type I need to loop, because maybe as I told you, the user from the first time, if the user enter 15 from the first time, well, I will loop one time. If the user did not enter it from the first time, then I'm gonna loop again and again until the user enter this one. So I can just log here, and here I can just say, for example, user input. Voila. So let's try to do our, let me just comment this one, or for loop here. So what I'm going to do here, I go to my console here. Yeah, it looks like I need to close this guy. Let's open it again. So as you can see now, it will ask me for a number here. If I enter 12, it will ask me again. If I click cancel, it will ask me again. Okay, it will ask me again. So as you can see, it really depends on the user. The user first time maybe just click cancel, and then here. So I do not know how many times I need to loop. What I know that I'm gonna keep asking the user until he enter 15. And when he enter 15, well, as you can see, I break the loop. And that's how it is. Is the idea clear? And I'm logging 15, of course. If I run it again, same idea here, it will not go away as long as the user did not enter 15. And if I enter 15, well, is the while loop clear?
Yeah.
You need to remember here, I can implement while loop in multiple ways. If I use true like that, remember here that will be an infinite loop. So I need to use a break statement at some condition. Because if I don't break my loop here, this is what it will be infinite loop. Well, I can use not this condition, I can use it in another way. So I can just say, for example, if user input does not equal to 15, so I can put this condition here. So as long as the user input does not equal to 15, I'm gonna ask again and again and again and again. So that's one way, that's just another way. So all the time, what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna check the user input. So if the user input is not 15 as a string, I'm gonna ask the user again and again. And both my programs, they will do the same job. They have the same behavior, notice. Same idea. If I enter anything, still keep asking me. If I enter 15, the guy is gonna stop, as you can see. So in JavaScript or in most programming language, there is no one way to implement some logic to create my program. We could have multiple ways, multiple implementation. All of them, they have the same behavior. That means they are doing the same thing, but just some different code. So same behavior, different implementation. Is the while loop is clear now? Yes?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Good. Now let's do the for of loop. We know that the for of loop and for loop, both of them here, we can use them with array and string. And we use the for loop if we know how many times we're going to loop. Same for of loop, use it with array. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just create an array here. So I can just post a const, for example, nums for numbers. Now I want to create very, very large array because I will not see the difference if the array is very small. So in order to create an array, I can use this syntax, and there is another syntax to create an array. So the syntax here, it will be just array. I can just say array, as you can see. And here, if I pass the array like that, I can pass how many items I want inside my array. For example, I want 1,000. And here, after that, I can use one of the array method. Also, you don't have to do that for now. We will learn it later. So I can just say 0. The reason why I'm using this way, because I want very large array and I don't want to type here like that. I don't want to type size 1,000 number like that. It will take a lot of time. So what is this way doing here? It's simply creating an array for me with the length 1,000. And fill, that means I'm giving a value 0 to all these array. Now, if I'm trying to log my nums here, log nums, it will give me a very large array with 1,000. Well, as you can see, that's what. So as you can see, I have a very large array. As you can see, I have 1,000 item or element inside this array. Why do I create this one? Just to show you the difference between for and for of loop. Again, don't worry about the syntax. We will learn it later. So now what am I going to do here? Well, what I'm going to do here, I can use both for loop and for of loop to loop through this array. So to use for loop here, now before I use the for loop, do I know how many times, if I want to loop through this array, do I know how many times I'm going to loop or not? I'm trying to loop through this array. Do I know how many times I'm going to loop or not?
1,000.
No.
Okay, no. How could I don't know? Because I'm going to loop through this array. How many items inside my array?
1,000.
Yes, 1,000. That means I know how many times I'm going to loop. I'm going to loop 1,000 times. So in the array, when I'm saying I'm going to loop through the array, it means that I'm going to loop through each item inside the array. That means I'm going to loop 1,000 times. That means I know how many times I'm going to loop. Is the idea clear? So when I say an array, when we are looping through the array, we already know how many times we're going to loop. Well, why? Because we're going to loop depending on how many items we have inside our array. And we have thousands. That means we're going to loop 1,000 times. So let's do it here. I can just say for. I need to declare my counter here or my starting point. I can start from 0. And after that here, as a condition here, I'm going to loop as long as the I is less than the array length. The array length is how much? It's 1,000. So I can just say nums here dot length. And here length here, it's 1,000. So I'm going to iterate actually 1,000 times. And you may tell me why 1,000 times? Because simply I started from 0. So I did not start from 1, I started from 0. And it will loop until 999. And I'm starting from 0, so I'm going to loop 1,000 times actually. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looping 1,000 times. And now I'm not going to do anything here. I'm going to loop. And the second one here, I'm going to use for of loop, same idea, for. And I can use either const or let, and I can name it num. Why? Because here is just nums, numbers. Here I will just choose a single of them, of nums. And what I'm going to do also, I'm not going to do anything here. Now I want to show you which one is faster. And in order to show you which one is faster, I need to use one of the method of the console. So what is this method here? Well, I can just say console.time. What console.time is doing here, and of course I'm using it with for loop because here. So what console.time is going to do, it will start a counter. It's just like a stopwatch here. It will start the time for me here. And when this operation finish, then I can use another one here, which is be console.endTime. And what's going to happen here, it starts the timer, and here it will stop the timer, and it will give me how much time it take for this loop to run. And I can use the same strategy with for loop. So I can just say console.time for of loop. And here I need to end the time. So time end here for of loop. And now what was going to happen, if I go to my console here, it will show me the time I needed to execute this loop and also the time needed to execute this loop. So let's go here. So if I go here, as you can see, it's telling me that the for loop, it needed 0.02 millisecond. And the for of loop, it needed 0.06 millisecond. So this guy here is actually slower, and this one is faster. And you may tell me, but it's only 0.04 millisecond. Well, yes, it's only 0.04 millisecond, but that's simple code here. Your website, it will include thousands of files. If you don't care about 0.02 or 0.04 millisecond, from all your code 0.04, if you calculate them after that, you will have maybe 1 or 2 minutes. That means your website, it will be slow 1 or 2 minutes. And of course, if it's slow 1 or 2 minutes, it will be very slow from a user point of view. Is the idea clear? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I've proven for you that the for loop in general, the for loop is faster comparing to for of loop. But also the advantage of for of loop here, as I told you, I will never have infinite loop because this guy here, it will loop depending on how many items inside my array. So I have 1,000, it will loop 1,000 times. And here also, if I know what I am doing here, because I'm looping only as long as I is this less than nums.length. And that means here it will be less than 1,000 because the length of my array is 1,000. That means it will be the maximum I here, it will be 999. And remember, I started from 0. That means 0 is also one iteration. That means it will run 1,000 times. Is the for loop and for of loop are clear?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
So in general, try to go with the for loop. You can go with the for of loop. It will be a little bit slower, but that's okay. As I told you, everything has advantage and disadvantage. That's the idea of variables, data type, if statement, switch statement, loops. Now, the other concept here we need to discuss about here is data type conversion, so data type conversion or coercion. So as I told you, sometimes we need to convert from one data type to another data type. Most of the time we do that here. If I want to convert something to a number, so to convert to a number, I can use this function. Now this function is very special because it starts with uppercase N. So what this function is going to do here, it will convert whatever I'm passing here to a number. Of course, it's not always possible to convert to a number. So if I have something like that, let's say, let's log, do that. And here, if I try to convert this one here, this string to a number, it will work because simply, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3. If I convert it to a number, it will give me 123. But if I try to convert hello, it doesn't make sense. I mean, the computer doesn't make sense. I cannot convert this one to a number. And in this case, it will give me what we call nans. That means it will be not a number. Okay, remember, not a number, although we call it not a number, also its data type is a number. That should be okay. We also, if we want to convert anything to string, that's possible. So to convert to a string, all I have to do, I can use this function string and pass whatever I want to. And what happened here, it will be surrounded either by single quote or double quote. Also, I can convert to a Boolean, and as I told you, Boolean is very important here because that's the concept of truthiness and falsiness. And we need to know, as I told you, all the value are truthy except 5 values. Can anyone remind me what are these values? So we have 5 falsy values only. What are the falsy values?
Empty string, null, undefined. Yes.
Empty string, null,
Undefined.
undefined, 0, none. So empty string, it won't work if you add a space here. The white space is considered character. It will give you truthy. So empty string, null, undefined, 0, and none. And these 5 values only are false. The other value, all of them are truthy. That's very important here. As I told you, because, for example, if I have any condition, even if I pass a number, JavaScript, it will convert it to a Boolean. And that's what we call the concept of truthiness, truthy or falsy. Truthy or false. That should be okay, I think. Yeah. Let me get rid of this one here. Let's go to one concept here. I still need to explain maybe a little bit operators, but actually, let's do the operators very quickly. So in JavaScript, on most programming language, we have different type of operator. We have something called arithmetic operation. Arithmetic operation is just a normal plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus. Do you know what's a modulus, right? You know what's a modulus?
Yes, we know.
Okay.
It's about remainder and
Yes, it's just simply the remainder here. And here is the exponentiation. We've seen this one here. After that, we have something called logical operator. So logical operator, we have and and we add both condition, both part must be true, both operand must be true. We have or one of them need to be true, and not it will just flip it. If it's true, it will make it false. If it's false, it will make it true. Then we have comparison operator. Comparison operator, as a result, it will be a Boolean. Here, as you can see, either I have double equality, and double equality only compares the value. It doesn't care about the type. If I'm using strict equality, which is strict equal, it will compare the data type and also the value. Not equal here, also it will just compare the value. Strictly not equal here, it will compare the value and the data type. Greater than, less than, greater than, equal, or less than equal. That should be also clear, I think. So we have assignment operator, same idea as I told you. This is assignment, not equality. If I want to add a number, I can use just plus, equal, and it goes for all the results here. Ternary operator here, yeah, we've seen it. It's just like asking a question. Let me show you ternary operator. Now, ternary operator actually sometimes is quite really nice to use. For example, if I have a variable called age is 18, instead of writing if age is greater than 18, like that, not greater or equal, I would just want it to be greater. If age is greater than 18, do this one, else do this one. Well, I can achieve the same behavior using one line of code. How? Well, by using the ternary operator. So what I can do here first, I can put my condition. So what is my condition here? My condition is age it to be greater than 18. That's my condition, as you can see. Now here it's just like I'm asking a question. Is age greater than 18? If it's true, what do I want to do? Well, I want to log this one here. You can vote. So that's what will happen. Then I need a colon and the second part here. So as you can see, I wrote this, I don't know, 5, 6 line in one line. I'm just asking this question. If this question is true, this part is going to be executed. If this condition is false, this part is going to be executed. Voila. And that's what we call the ternary operator. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
If I go to my console, both of them are doing the same job. Again, when to use this one, when to use this one? Well, if I have single if else here, I can use ternary operator here. The ternary operator is sometimes more readable and it's less code, actually, as you can see. Let's go to functions. Now, I've seen a question asking me, I don't know what is the logic of function. Well, the function, first, you need to understand what's the function. So a function is just different statement, different line of code I need to execute. And what's good about the function here is the function I can create it one time, and whenever I need it, I can call it multiple times. Think of it this way. So we use function for reusability. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say I have a function, and this function here, let's say it gives me the date and time. So I can just create my function, whatever the function is. I name it just, for example, this is this function here. So I will create this function one time, and maybe in my website, in 1,000 places, I need this function. So I just need to create it one time, and after that, whenever I need it, I can call it. And like that, I will reuse this function. Because if I don't do that now, that means if I write, for example, a plus b, that means I need to repeat this code again and again and again and again, and especially if my function is doing a lot. So if I have a lot of code. If I don't use functions, that means I'm going to repeat this code again and again. If I need it 1,000 times, I need to repeat this code 1,000 times. And in programming, whenever you are repeating or yourself, it's general rule. Whenever you are repeating yourself, know that you are doing something bad. We have in programming a concept or a rule called DRY. So DRY stands for do not repeat yourself. It's a very important concept. Know something, whenever you are repeating yourself in programming, know that you are doing something wrong. In programming, we should never repeat ourselves. Okay, so to not repeat ourselves, what will be the solution? Well, what I can do, I can create a function. I can put my code inside one function, and like that, if I know this function exists, I can use this function. My colleague, all of them can use the same function. And as you can see, we are creating a function one time only, and whenever we need it, we are just calling this function. So function help us to not repeat ourselves, it make our code dry. And by dry just means we do not repeat ourselves. So now again, what is my logic here? How can I create a function? We've seen there is three ways to create a function. But first, let me just create a simple function, all of us, and after that we'll see what our logic. So to create a function, you need to know what you are trying to do, what you are trying to solve. So the idea of the function is not just creating a function. No, you need to know what do you want. So what I want here, I want to create a function, and this function here, I will pass any data type, and it will tell me if it's string. It will tell me, for example, it will return me true. That means I know that it is string. And if it's any other data type, it will return me false. Why this function is useful? Well, because sometimes when the user here enters some stuff, let's say I need to check if I only want string. All the time, actually, let's make it number. Let's make it number. Sometimes when I ask the user for input, he enters some input, and I want to make sure that whatever I'm trying to do is a number. If it's not a number, I will not accept it. So let's try to build a logic for this function. It's a very simple function. All I want to do, I want to create a function to check if whatever I am passing is a number or not. If it's number, it will return me true. Why? Because that's what I want to. I want to return a Boolean. So simply I can just say const. Now first, I'm going to use the arrow function. First, I need to decide what is the name of the function here. Well, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to check if it's number or not, right? So my function name should reflect this one. If anyone read it, should understand it. And remember also, because the function are actions, that means I need to start with verb. So what I can name it here, for example, check number. So check number here, I'm trying to check a number. Or I can say check if is number, but it will be very long here. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm just checking if it's number or not. That will be the name of my function. Voila. Now here, after I created my function like that, now I need to know, do I need any parameter or not? Well, of course. Why? Because each time I call the function, I need to pass this number I want to check. That means I will need to have at least one parameter, which will be the number I'm trying to check. Okay, now I know I need one parameter at least. So now here inside my function, what will be my logic here? Well, my logic, I need to check type of num. If type of num is number, then I will return true. If type of num is not a number, then I return false. How can I do that? How could I know the data type of any variable? Yes. How could I know the data type of any variable?
Type of.
Type of.
Yes. So we have an operator for that. This operator here, it's type of. So what I can do here, I can just put my condition. If type of num, if it's not equal to number, and here, remember, the type of operator returns string for me. So yes, it is number, but if I hover over this one here, it will return me the type of here, it will return me a string. So if the type is number, yes, but it will return it as a string. String, the same idea. And to convince you here, just log, let's log type of, actually, let me do it in the console, it will be easy. So if I go to the console here, and I say type of 15, see, it's giving me a string. Yes, I mean to check what's the type, but it will be in form of string. So the return value, it will be string. If I say, for example, type of, and let's pass any string here, hello, or anything, so it gave me string. So the return value is string, as you can see. So what I can do here, I can just put a simple condition here, and I can just say if type of num is not a number, then what I can return here, well, I can return simply false. Why false? Because that's what I want to. I wanted it to return a Boolean. So I can return false, else, well, else here, I'm going to return true, simply like that. And as you can see, my function now return a Boolean. Why? Because that's what I want to. So this function now, it will return a Boolean. I can pass any value I want to, and if I hover over this one, see, it give me any. That means I can pass anything. I can pass a number, I can pass a Boolean, I can pass a string, I can pass an object. So and after that, my function, it will return me either true or false. If it returns true, that means I know it's number. If it returns false, that means I know it is not a number. So of course, because we have a return value, so I'm going to call my function first, check number. I need to call it, and I will call it with 15, for example. I need to check if 15 is number or not. Of course, I know 15 is a number. Now this function will return me something, right? What does this function return? What this function is going to return?
Boolean.
Boolean. So how can I save this return value? I need to save the return value because I want to log it.
Console log.
No, console log just to show it. I want to save the return value.
You can save it in any variable.
Yeah, so I can just say const result. Voila. So here, now this function, when I execute it, will return me a Boolean and we save it in this variable simply. Now I just want to log the result now. Log result. Of course, now if I go to my C, it's going to give me true. Why? Because 15 is a number. If I try to, with a string like that, of course, now it will give me false. If I go here, see, it's giving me false. And that's the concept of function. Now I can use this function in any place in my program to validate if something, any data type is a number or not. So the idea of the function, I can write it one time, and after that, me and my colleague, we can reuse it again and again and again and again. Is the concept, the logic of the function depends on what you are trying to do in the function. Here, I'm trying to check if it's number or not. And that's the reason why I implement this logic. If I'm trying to get the date and time, I will implement different logic. If I'm trying to check, for example, two numbers, the logic, it will be different. It really depends what you are trying to do in the function. But the concept of the function here, we create one time, and then we reuse it again and again and again and again. Yes, Daniel? Is it okay? Daniel?
It wasn't me who asked, but yeah, it's okay.
But I didn't say it's you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm just asking you. Is the concept of function are clear?
Yeah.
Let's
Yes.
do another function here. So this function, it will be a little bit more complex here. You need to understand when we are dealing with really website here, we need, how can I say it? We need the date and time quite often. And maybe in 1,000 places in our program, we need the current date and time. And this current date and time, it's super important for us, and we need to get it in multiple places. And now, of course, it doesn't make sense to repeat my code 1,000 times to get the date and time. So it's a good way here. I can simply create a function, and this function, it will give me back, let's say, it will give me the hour, for example. I want just the date. I don't want the time. I want the time. I don't want the date, for example. So in 1,000 places, all I have to do, I can just create a function, and then I just can call it whenever I need it. So let's try to create this function. So to create the function, I have 2 or 3 ways to create a function. I can use function declaration, or I can use arrow function. So let's try to use arrow function. And here, what I'm trying to achieve, I'm trying to get the time. So the time, it will be the hour like that. I don't care about the date, let's say. What should I name my function? What should I name my function?
Time.
No, that's very wrong. The function are action, I told you. That means we need to start with verb. Time is noun, it's not a verb.
Check time.
Check time.
But I'm not checking the time. I'm trying to get the time.
Display time or
Get time. Voila. So get time, it will be okay name. I'm not checking the time really. I'm trying to get the time. So first I need to decide the name of my function and the name of the function and variable, and most of the stuff in JavaScript, object stuff like that, we use camel casing. So if I have multiple words, the first word start with lowercase, all other words start with uppercase. Okay, now I know it's a function, it's fine. Now what should I do? I want to get the time. To get the time in JavaScript, we have a class in JavaScript. You don't need to know what's a class. I'm just going to show you what do I mean. So I can simply just say const now, it's equal to new date. So new date, I'm just trying to create an object. This now here, don't worry about this one, we'll study it in the future, but know that this one is an object. This object, it includes a lot of properties. It includes the day, the year, full year, the month, it includes a lot of stuff. And here in JavaScript, we already have a date here class. So all I need to do, I need to create an instant, a part of it. I need to create an object from it. I mean, that's the syntax. Don't worry about this line if you don't understand. We will study it in the future. Now, what do I want to do? Well, I want simply now, I want to get the hour, the minute, and the second. Why? Because my function, I want to get the time. So first, I need to get the hour. Let's see here. Let's declare it with const. So I can just say const hours. it's equal to, I told you now is an object. So if I say dot, notice I have a lot of stuff here. All these methods exist in this object. And all of them are built in JavaScript. So I don't have to waste time. What do I want to do? Well, I want to get the hours, and I have a function for that. And if I hover over this one, notice it will return me a number and give me the hour in the date. So that's what I want to. Voila. So voila, get hours. Well, I don't want only the hour, I need the minute as well, because the time here, it will be hour, minutes, and seconds. So here I can just say minutes, and actually it's the same idea exactly as you can guess. Also, I have now dot get minute. For second, it will be also the same idea, get second, voila. So now in my program here, I was managed to get the hours, the minutes, the second, and I want somehow to format my my date. So how can I format it? I want to format it just like that. So normally the hour it's like that. So we have hour like that. Then we have colon like that. So normally that's how we get the time. I want somehow to format it this way. To format it this way, I am dealing with numbers. As you can see, all three are numbers. So the only way to do it, I need to create a string. And inside this string, I need to format those guys like that. So in order to do that, I can just say const time, or whatever you want to call it, time. And now here I can use template literals list. So I can use backtick. And here I can now use $sign. You already know that. So I can use $sign. And then now here I can pass my hours. And after that, here I can just add colon, same for minutes, same for second. So I just formatted my time. And now, whenever I call this function, I want to give me back what? I need to give me back the time, right? So should I, what should I return? What should I return? What do I want from this function?
Time. So
well, I just need to return time. So I want this one here. Now, each time I call this function, it should return me the time, and that's the reason why I return it. If I did not return the time, well, it will not be useful, because each time I call the function, it will not give me back what I want to. And that's not what I want to. I want each time I call this function, give me back the time, and that's the reason why I return it. Okay, now as you can see, in my function, I did not need any parameter because I have the date class here, and I did everything inside my function. Now here, let's say I need to get the time million times in my code. So I can simply just call it one time here, and in another file. Now all I have to do, I just need to repeat it. I can call it million times if I want to, like that. So I create this function one time, and now all I have to do, I just need to call it here, as you can see. I'm not logging it, so let's try to, yeah, let's save it in a variable. Yeah, I need to log it actually. So let me use console.log because it will not log the time for me. Get time like that, and let's repeat this one here. So we just see here. So now I can call my function million times if I want to. It really depends on what I want to. And now here, if I go to, notice, well, it's giving me, it's hours is 10, 11, 57. And now if I refresh, it will give me different time, as you can see. And if I refresh after 1 or 2 minutes, so it will give me the updated time, as you can see. So I was managed now to create this function. And now I've created this logic. Why? Because I want to get the time. And to get the time, that's the logic how to get the time. Now, if you notice here, I have a little bit problem actually in my function, but that's not my point. My point here, I've created this function to get the time. Now, me and my other developer, we can call this function in million places, and it will return me back the time I want to. Of course, I can save now this time here in a variable, and then I can use it. Is the idea clear? Yes.
Yes, but what is
Yes.
the word new? New date. It's
Yeah,
not a-
I told you, don't worry about that. This is a class. We will explain it in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Do not worry about this line. Okay, what we can do here, we can refresh again. I have a problem in my code. Can anyone guess what's the problem? Can anyone guess what's the problem in my code here? No? Sam, what's the problem?
We must run it
Repeat
for
the
getting
same
needed.
time. Or run
Again?
same time.
What do you mean?
means every time there's 10, 30, 37, 10, 30, 37.
But that's okay because I'm calling my function multiple times. It's okay. That's not the problem. The problem is not here. The problem in my function.
The time is not stopped, fixed.
No, notice that's the problem here. What is the problem?
No,
Zero.
In
So
milliseconds?
yes. So normally the hour here normally if the value is less than 10, we add 0 before it. But that's not the case in our example. So somehow I need to modify the hour, minute, and second and check if they are less than 10, I should add 0 before them. Of course, because they are const, I'm using the keyword const, I cannot do that. So I need to replace it with let first. Now what I can do, I can add simple condition here. I can use the ternary operator. I can simply say, or I can use it like that. I can just say if hours is less than 10, then I will add 0 before the hours, as you can see. So hours is equal to 0 before the hours. So that's one way to do it. I can do the same for hour, minute, and seconds. That will solve the problem. But I can use also the ternary operator if I want to. So what I can do here, I can just say hours, it's equal to, now I can put my condition. What is my condition? My condition, if is hour less than 10, what should I do? Well, I should add 0 before it. If they are not less than 10, I will keep it as it is. And that's my ternary operator. So that's my condition. If it's less than 10, I'm asking the question. If it's true, that means less than 10, I will add 0 before it, and then I'm going to reassign it to the hour. If not, I will keep it as it is. And I can do the same for minutes, same for seconds, and now the problem will be fixed. We need to wait a little bit. Is the idea clear here what I'm trying to do here? So I'm just trying to check if the hour is less than 10 normally. If it's less than 10, we need to add 0 before it. So I'm just adding 0 before mine. This is just a string. Well, if it's not the case, false, it will give, I want to keep the same value. Same for minutes, same for second. You can use if else or if, or you can use just simply ternary operator. And now here, if I refresh, notice I have 0 before the second here. And that was the idea here. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
I will go
And
quickly
Sam?
through. Yes.
Can you use to fixed like you used before?
Yes, we can use to fix if we want to because it's a number here. As you can see, the data type is a number, so I can use to fix and I can pass 2, so it will give me 2 digits here. But the problem with to fix is if I say to fix, no, I think it will work to fix. Now, let me try it actually. Let's say I have 4, and here say do to fix like that. And here, if let's say I pass 3, invalid. Let's try here. Let me just comment this code. Const age, it's equal to 2. And here, let's try to log age dot 2 fixed. And here, let's pass 5. Let's see. So the problem with this one here, Manlo, you cannot use it. The problem with this one here is it will add this 0 after the here. It will make it as a decimal, as you can see. But when it comes to time, that's not what we want. We want to add 0 before it. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, okay.
So to fix, you cannot really use it because to fix it will add the digit after the dot here, or perhaps the floating point number, and it will fix it to 5 digit after the floating point. But so no, we cannot use to fix here because what we want here, we want the 0 before, not after. And we don't want actually that here, we don't need the comma here or the dot here, the floating point number. So no, we need to just make a simple check here. And this check here, we check if it's less than 10, we just need to make it as a string 0 and voila. Should be clear, huh? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, what we can do now, I will go to the documentation. I can just say date in JavaScript. Again, we're going to explain this one a lot, but the date actually here in JavaScript, it's a very big object. it helps us a lot to deal with the two different date. So the way the date works here all the time, I need to create an object from a class. So you need to first know what's a class. If you don't know what's a class, you will not be able to understand this one. But simply a class, to create an instant of a class, I need to use the keyword new and the name of the class. So again, to do that here, let's say we have a class called a date. So I can declare any variable I want to. I will name it now. You can name it whatever you want to. I want to create an object from this class. To create an object from any class in JavaScript, I need to use the keyword new and the name of my object, my class, was the name of my class is date, like that. Now here it will be an object, and now here it will have a lot of method inside it. So this method is coming to this object because this method exists on this class here actually. So when we create a class, when we will learn that in the future, we can add a lot of function inside our class. And when we say new is the name of the class and we create an object for it, this object, it will inherit. It will get all the function inside this class here. So everything inside this class, it will automatically be available inside this object. Again, if you don't understand it, don't worry because we'll study it in the future. So that's how we create an object from a class. A class is just, let me show you quickly, but don't ask me what is it. So class human, for example, like that. I can create a class human like that. And inside this class, I can have multiple function or method here. So I can just say, for example, say hello and voila. So that will be a function inside my class here. As you can see, say hello. So this method here exists in my class. And my class could have a lot of method. And also it could have a lot of property. For example, I can say age is equal to 0 like that. So it could have a lot of property. Also, it could have a lot of method. And to create an object from this class here, I need to use this keyword new and the name of the class here. And of course, I need to execute it just like a function. And now here, all these property and all these method here, it will be available also on the instant on my object. If the concept is clear, what I'm trying to explain. Again, we're going to repeat it a lot in the future, but this one is a class. And if I want to create an object from the class, I need to use this keyword new and the name of the class. And whatever we are creating from the class, it will be an object. And as you know, our object could have a lot of function on it or method and a lot of property, simply like that. Yes, Anton, is the general ideas clear?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Do not worry about the class because we'll study it in the future. That should be for function. So to know the logic of the function, first you need to know what do you want in function. What is my function supposed to do? And a good logic always is your function, a good function should or must actually should do one job and one job only. So a good function should do one thing and one thing only, or do one job and one job only. For example, my previous function, it was returning the time. It was only returning the time. So we're doing one job only. And like that, if in the future I want to modify my function, well, I can go to modify anything. I'm not going to break anything else because this function only gives me the time. I'm not going to break the date, for example. I'm not going to break the year. I'm not going to break stuff like that because this function is only responsible for time. And that's very important because if your function is doing multiple stuff, if you go and update your function, you will break multiple stuff. And that's a bad idea. All the time, your function should do one job, but you should do it very well. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
So what different type of function here? I told you I will go very quickly through this one. So we have function declaration. Function declaration, simply it's mean I'm using the keyword function. And this function is hoisted, as I told you, function. Let's make it super simple like that. What do you mean by hosted? Well, it simply means I can call this function even before the declaration. I am allowed to do so. It's not wrong. Or after the declaration, it's really fine, depending on my need. That's okay. So only the function declaration is hoisted. Also the name of the variable without the value only. But these function declaration are hoisted. That means I can call it before or after. The second type of function is arrow function. So arrow function are not hoisted. So you can just say const multiply. Let's just say multiply. multiply. And multiply here, I can use arrow function because it's one line. I can just put it in one line, or I can just do it this way. Those function here, I need an arrow, of course. So let me put my arrow. This function here, arrow function, are not hoisted. I cannot call my function before the declaration. I need first to declare my function, then call it. It's not hoisted, so arrow function are not hoisted. Also, function expression, for example, I can just say subtract, and here I can create an anonymous function. What is an anonymous function? What is an anonymous function? What is an anonymous function?
Functions without name.
Yeah, so in this example, I'm just using the keyword function, but it has no name, so I need to store it in a variable. Also, function expressions, that's what you call function expression, because we assign it to a variable. Also, they are not hosted. These two are not hosted, only this one is hosted. Which one to use? As I told you, most of the new syntax using arrow function, because arrow function is more elegant and we don't have to worry about the keyword this. This keyword in JavaScript is very annoying, really annoying. We will study it also in the future when we go a little bit deep in object. So this here is always referred to an object. The problem is this is not always this. So sometimes it refers to the Windows object, sometimes it refers to another object. And when we come to function declaration with this, it's very annoying and confusing, even for expert developer. So that's the reason here. With arrow function, we don't need to worry about this keyword. With function declaration, we need to worry about that. We will study it in the future, but now hosting, it should be fine, I think. As a different type of function, it should be fine. Again, for the logic of the function, first you need to know what you're supposed to do, and after that, you try to build your function. That's a general review to everything we study. Do you have any question?
I have a little question.
Yeah.
So arrow function can be used in another JS file.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Not just arrow function. Function declaration also I can use it in a multiple file. We learn this one a little bit in advance when not the next module, I think the module after that, we learn how to divide in separation of concern. We learn how to divide our code. So we'll have multiple file, and we could have function in one file, and then we export this function to another file. So each type of function could be in another file, and we can import it in this file and use it. Yes, Anton?
Yes.
That's called separation of concern. We will study it 3 weeks in detail. Don't worry about that. Is there any question related to what we studied so far?
Yes, I have a question, Sam. During your revision of course, what we have learned about looping and fast loop. For example, for loop is a fast loop, and the another one, for example, for off is not fast. What is the reason behind this? For example, as you have given an example, but is any other reason of fast and slow? For example, if it is very important that in programs, if it is we have to limited over the code or using over loops for keeping less times or take more time. So what is the reason actually?
The reason depends on how each function is being implemented. You don't need to worry about what is the reason, but you need to worry about that for loop is faster compared to for off loop. Because if you go to the implementations, they will tell you why this one is faster, but you don't need to know why it's faster. For you, you just need to know it is faster. You get my point?
Yeah. Okay.
It's not just for loop, by the way. There is a lot of stuff we're gonna learn this one in behavior strategy implementation. So in the module here coming after this module, which call it behavior strategy implementation, we learn that we could solve any problem we want to using different way, different implementation, different code. But after that, we need to decide which one is better. And when we say which one is better, it's matter of it's fast or not, and second, in matter of memory. So when we say our code is efficient, we have two stuff we need to worry about here. And it's, of course, it depends on your need. If I say my code is efficient, it's a matter of which my code is faster. So if I have two implementation, let's say I can solve a problem using one way, and then I have another way. And now here to decide which one way is better, well, there's nothing called in programming, this one is better, this one is better, it depends. So maybe this way is faster comparing to this way in matter of speed here. But also we need to think of matter of memory. Maybe this one is fast, but it takes more memory. This one is slow, but it takes less memory. So to decide which way is more efficient here, we need to decide in these two variant here. It depends on how fast. If your objective is that you want your code to be fast, you want your website to be fast, you don't care about the memory, you should go with the first option here, for example. Well, if you don't care about, it's fine, your code be a little bit slow, but you don't have a lot of memory, you should choose option 2. Is the idea clear a little bit, Sajid? But we will
Yes.
study it a little bit in the
Yes.
future.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Again, you don't need to worry about why this one is faster than this one. You need to just know that for loop is faster, but again, comparing. That's not always the case. Comparing to for of loop. So comparing to for of loop, the for loop is a little bit faster, and I just show you using console.time. Okay, why it's faster? It depends how it's being implemented. So you can, of course, if you need more information, but then again, it's not gonna help you with anything. You just need to know that it is faster. Why? Because I did not create the for loop myself. It's building in JavaScript. I did not create the for of loop. It's also building in JavaScript. I don't need to worry about how this one is implemented. I just need to know for now that this one is a little bit faster. That means if I care about the speed, it's a good idea to go with for loop. If I don't care about the speed, well, I can go with for of loop. Yes? All right. Any question? Yes? No? No question at all? Okay, let me teach you last thing, and after that we will go to error and bugs. So we have something called short circuit. What is short circuit here? Well, short circuit here, we use it with a logical operator. What do I mean by that? With and, or, we use it a lot. So what is short circuit? Now, as we know, if I'm gonna put a condition which is and, for example, let's take 4 is greater than 7, and let's say 10 is greater than 5. For example, 5 I will type here. Now, what's happening here, JavaScript is now to evaluate a condition to true when this and it will be true. So this and when this result here, when this expression it will be true.
when the both condition it's true.
When both sides are true, then it will give me true.
Yeah.
So notice what JavaScript is doing. JavaScript is very smart. What's going to do JavaScript is coming here to the first part, it will evaluate. Is 4 greater than 7? Is it true or false?
False.
False. So JavaScript here, it does not check the second part here. Why? Because it gives me false and I'm using and it does not have to check the second part. It's meaningless. Why? Because this one is false. That means the result, it will be false. So what JavaScript is going to do is going to evaluate this one and it will not going to evaluate this part. Do you understand what I mean or not?
Yes.
Oh, great. Very good. Let me add my condition. And after, so for example, I can just say 4 is greater than 10. And I can console.log hello world. My question for you now, if I go to the console, do you think this code is will be executed or not?
No.
Why?
No, because the first condition is not
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to explain. So what JavaScript is going to do, because I'm using the AND operator, in the AND operator, both parts need to be true. So JavaScript is gonna only check the first condition. If the first condition is false, it doesn't have to check or execute the second part, because this one is already false. That means the result, it will be false. And if I go to my console now, I don't have any console.log. So what JavaScript is going to do, it will only evaluate this part. It will never reach this part here. That's what you call short circuit. So JavaScript does not need to go even to this part. No, it will just check this one. It is false, and I'm using AND. That means the result, it will be false. But let's say this condition is true. So for example, if I say 4 is less than 10, is 4 less than 10 or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this condition is true. So JavaScript now is going to evaluate the second condition now. And now what's happening here now is the second part, it will be executed. And if I go to my console.log, as you can see, hello world is being logged. So JavaScript first, it will check this one, it's true. And then you need to go to the second part and check it also to see if it's true or not. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we call
Yes.
short circuit again. So short circuit, that means not every time JavaScript is gonna evaluate everything. It's gonna execute everything, check everything. No, it depends. Because I'm using AND here, it will check the first condition. If the first condition is false, it will immediately return false. It will never execute this part. It will never check this part. That's what you call short circuit. If I go to OR, now let's go to OR and try to implement the same idea we see with AND. Let's try to do the same with OR. Let's comment this one. What the hell is going on? Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say, for example, 12 is less than 5. And here I'm using the OR operator, so OR console.log. So what's going on here? Well, as you can see here, the first condition, 12 is less than 5. Is that true or false?
False.
Okay, when we are using OR, do we need both of sides to be true?
No.
No.
We need
just
one of them. So in this case, JavaScript will check this part and say, okay, it's false. Then it will go to the second part and it will try to evaluate the second part. It's not like AND. Why? Because AND here, it just checks the first one to see if it is false. What it's going to do is immediately return. It doesn't have to do this one because one of them is false. That means that even if this one is true, it doesn't matter. As a result, it will be false. But with OR, we need one true only. So it will check this one here. If this one is false, it will try to excuse the second part or check the second part. And that's the reason why, if I go to my console, I have console.log, as you can see. Yes? Now, let's try to do it the other way here. So if this one is true, and we are using OR, this one is true, does JavaScript going to evaluate this part or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you sure? With OR, we need only one
No.
true.
You will exist because one of them is true.
Yes. So here we are using OR, then we need one true. JavaScript is going to check this part. It's true. That means it doesn't care about the second part. Why? Because I have one true, so as a result, it will be true. So if I go to my console, it will not be executed. Yes?
Yes.
So depending on the operator we are using, JavaScript not always check all the condition here, all the part. No, it depends really. For in this example, I am using OR, and with OR, I need only one true. I don't need both of them to be true. JavaScript is going to check this part here. It's true. It will immediately return true. It will never check this part here. Why? Because it doesn't need to. With OR, we need only one true. One part need to be true, and this one is already true. So it's immediately it will return true, and this part it will never be executed. So that's what we call short circuit. Short circuit simply, it's JavaScript depending on the logical operator we are using. Sometimes it will evaluate one part, and depending on what operator we are using, it will after that either evaluate the second part or no, depending. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, let me show you why we need to use this short circuit. Why this short circuit is important. Let's declare, let's just say const And here I will just say message. And here I can just say hello world. Voila. Now, let's try to do something here. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just log message.length. Message.length. Of course, actually, it will be good to create it inside a function. Let me just create a simple function here. Const, I will just say log length, for example. That's the name of my function. Log length. The length here, it will normally take str string. And here was going to return, here's this function. It will return me the length of this guy here, return string length. So what I'm trying to do here, my function, I will try to pass string, but as we know in JavaScript, we can also not pass string, we can pass any data type. It is possible to pass any data types. That's the reason why my function sometimes it will give me an error. Now we'll see why. So what this function is going to do something very simple. It's going to do here, actually, let's not return, let's log, because I want just to log here. So let's log the length here. So I don't want to return the length here, I just want to log it. Let's use this function with string. So here I will just hello world, it should give me a number. I don't know how much the number, 12, 13. If I go to here, it will give me 12, as you can see. That's fine. So whenever I pass any string, it will give me the length, that's fine. But what if, notice, what if I did not pass a string? What if I pass a number? What do you think it will be? It's giving me undefined. Why is giving me undefined? Why it giving me undefined? Let's make it something else. If I use undefined here instead of string, I will have an error actually, as you can see. Well, let's try something again here. Let's try with null. Well, it will give me another error again. So it's telling me cannot read property of null. That means they're telling me this length method does not exist on null, does not exist on undefined. What's the problem here?
Because you must pass the string.
Yes, but because this method here belongs to which data type? Where I can find string and array. So on array we have lengths, in string we have lengths. We don't have this property on numbers, on null. Null has no property at all. Undefined has no property or method at all. So as you can see here, now if I just create my functions this way, I will get some error. And that's not a good function. I need to handle this error somehow. So what I can do, I can put my condition here. So let's say I don't want to use, so to solve this problem here, I can simply say if type of str is string, then I can log it this way. Else I can return a message and say, for example, please provide a string or something like that. I can do this way. And now with null here, it will just not give me error anymore. String here. So it's if it's not a string, yes. Why still give me this error? Let me just close my live server and open it again.
You called with null.
I'm calling it with null. But that's okay, even if it's with null, because here I'm making some check here. If the type of str is
But
not a string.
Why not a string? When it's a string, then we check the length, no?
You are right, actually. It should be if it's string, you're right. If it's only string, so if it's string, then I'm gonna do that. If it's not string, then here. As you can see, it's telling me, please provide a string when I'm using with null. If I'm using a number, voila, it will tell me, please provide a string. If I'm using any data type, this condition is solving the problem. Well, that's nice, that's okay, but we can do it actually in some maybe other way. How? Let's try to do it in a little bit better way. So what I can do here, I can just say this way here. So I can just say type of str is string, and if it's string, and I'm not gonna use a ternary operator here, what I'm going to do here then, I will say add console.log str. So as you can see, what I'm doing here, what's happening here, I'm using here is a short circuit here. So now, instead of just adding if condition, I can just use this logical operator actually. So what's going to do here? Well, if first it will check if the type of str is string. And if this one is false, it will not log anything for me. Well, I will just remove it. It will just ignore it. And now here I can use it with number. I can use it with string. I can use it with null. So let's try to use it with null and I will have no error. Let's use it with null. Null. Before we had an error. Now here, if I go to my code, it doesn't give me any error, as you can see. Why? Can anyone explain why it's not giving me any error? I just explained it.
Yeah, because the first condition is false, so it's not checking the second one.
Exactly. So I'm using the AND operator, and the AND both side must be true. So first it will evaluate this one. It will check if the type of the str is a string, then it will log this one here. Then it will try to do this function, this method. But if the type is not string, it will never check this condition. It will never be executed. So as you can see here, we can use short circuit in our code. We don't all the time have to do with if and else statement or switch statement. We can simply use logical operator short circuit, and now my code is working fine. And only when the type of this one, it will be string, then it will go to the second part. That means if the type is null, it will never execute this part here, and I will never have an error. Yes?
But if we want to log some error to the console, in this case, we cannot do that. We cannot.
But
Or we
yes, yes. No, we cannot do that. But we can do here, because I'm putting my conditions this way. So what we can do here, we can use another way here. We can use ternary operator, or you can use if else, that's fine. But the idea here, as you can see, my point here, you can do it in many ways, but my point here, I'm just trying to explain how short circuit is useful for us. Yes?
Yes.
Is short circuit is clear? Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just remember, if I have true here, so with AND operator, I need both sides to be true. So true and true, it will only give me
True.
true. Voila. Other than that, it will give me false. So true and false, it will give me false. False and true, it will give me false. And false and false, it will give me true. Now, because this AND here require both sides to be true, so if JavaScript come here and evaluate this one, so if the first part is true, it will check the second part. But if the first part is false, it will never check the second part. It doesn't need to, because if it's one false, that means the expression, all of it will be false. And that's, of course, that's what you call short circuit. If this one is true, then it will evaluate the second one to see if it's true or not. But here, if it's false, it will never evaluate the second part. Same here if it's false. Now, when it comes to or is a bit different here. So if this one is true, it will never evaluate the second part. Why? Because this one is true. So that means if this one is false or true, it doesn't care. The result, it will be true. And here, if same idea. If it's true, it will never evaluate this part. It will just return true. But if the first one is false, because it needs one true, so if false, then it will evaluate the second one to see if it's true or not. Is the idea clear?
Mm.
Good. I need just to explain now what's the difference between the error and bugs, and then I give you some time to go through your exercises and try to do them. To answer one question I've seen in your check-in, say we just need to work on a project. Well, you need to understand JavaScript, you cannot simply work on a project. In other programming language, you need just to build some logic and deal with data. In JavaScript, you need to know two things to start working on a project. You need to know how to deal or manipulate data, which we are doing currently. And the second part here, you need to know what's the DOM or how to manipulate the DOM, and you still don't even know what the DOM is. In week 3, we have a simple calculator, but you need to be patient a little bit. When you are just mastering manipulation data in this module and the next, when you learn the DOM, After that, you need to be able to create a project. Just knowing the data, you will not be able to do anything in JavaScript. JavaScript, not like other programming language, because you need to know the DOM, you need to know the data, what we're currently doing, then you will be able to build anything. Other than that, it is not possible. Yes?
Yeah.
Good. Let me get rid of this one. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just open my study licenses. Oh, that's not what I want. Welcome to GS. So let me change the version of my node in VMUs 15. And let's go to licenses. And for today, what we're going to do here, we're going to have a look at error and bugs. So what's the difference between error and a bug? Well, let's go to the example, and we have one example here. So a bug, normally, if I click on this guy here, and I go to my console, a bug normally, if I run my code, let's say I'm entering something, and it's telling me too long or something, do I see any error in the console? Do I see any error?
No.
So it's not an error. It is not an error. A bug, that means there is something we are doing in our code. Our code is working, but is not working as we want to. That's a bug. An error is something different. I will see an error in my console. If you don't see it, that means it's a bug. Let's read this program and try to know what is this program trying to achieve. So what this program is trying to do here is asking the user for 5 characters exactly. If it's less than 5, it will tell him too short. If it's more than 5, it will tell him too long. And if it's exactly 5, it should tell him perfect. Of course, if the user click on null, it should give him this sad face. So here in our program, we have a bug. And let's try to figure out what's this bug. Now, bugs are difficult to fix comparing to the error, because the error, you will have a message, and most of the time it will give you even the line you have this error. But the bug is not the case. We don't really know. We know that our program working, but we don't know where is the problem. So let's try to run this program, and let's try to enter, for example, 2 characters. And now it should print me too short. If I click on this one, it returns too short, which is good. Run our program again. Let's to enter something long. If I click on this one, it tells me too long, which is great. And now that's okay. So if I click on cancel, it should give me sad face. Voila, it's working as I want to. The problem here, when I try to enter 5 characters. So if I try to enter 5 characters like that, now it should give me perfect, but it give me too short. So what's the problem here? Well, to fix this problem, all I have to do, I need now to go through my code, and I try to figure what the bug is. And most of the time, you need to debug your code in order to find this bug. So first time, now we know what program is supposed to do. So when the character are 5 exactly, or when the string the user enters 5 character, we need to tell the user that it is perfect, but it's not telling it's perfect. So let's go line by line. Let's click on the step here. I will ask the user for input. Let's input 5 character. Hello. Click. And now here is the input is null. No, the input is not null. It's 5 character actually. Let's go to the second condition here. The input length here, it's 5. And here, this condition, if I hover over it, is true. Well, I have a problem here. Why it's true? It shouldn't be true. It should tell just too short here. Shouldn't tell me too short, because actually it's 5 characters. Should be perfect. So I have a problem here with this code. And this problem mostly is coming from equal here, because I should remove this equality here. I want when the character is less than 5 to be too short. And also I have the same problem here with this one here, because I want the input greater than 5, not equal to 5. And the reason why this bug is happening, because this condition is true, because I'm adding here less than and equal. So to fix this bug, as you can see, I can go line by line, and then I check this condition, and here, it's true. It shouldn't be actually. And as you can see, this one, it will be executed, and that's the reason why it gave me too short. So let me fix this problem here. And to fix this problem here, I need just to remove this one. Why? Because in my program, I want it to be, if it's less than 5, I want it to give me too short. If it's 5, no, that's not what I want to. And now here I can just format my code and save the changes. And let's try to go again. So let's try to run my code and enter hello, 5 characters exactly. And now it's telling me too long. Still I have the bug, so I can debug here, go in here, click, enter something. I want 5 characters because it's not working with 5 characters. Now here, this condition, it's false because it's not less than 5. But the problem is the second condition also. I'm saying if it's greater or equal to 5, and this one become true. So I need to fix this problem as well. So to fix this problem, it should be simple. I will just go here and I will remove this one here. Now my code should work perfectly. If I hit format and save changes, let's try now to run it again with 5 characters. Hello, voila, and it's perfect, and that's what I want. I can test everything again just to make sure I did not break anything. No, too sure that's good. Let's try to run, enter something long. It's give me too long, and that's perfect. And then run and say cancel, it should give me sad face. And that's simply, that's what you call the bug. Yes?
Yes.
So a bug are normally much more difficult to fix comparing to an error. An error, we see a message in the console, it will direct us to even the line we have this error, so it will be, we already have some information. But when we come to bugs here, we don't always know, and most of the time we need to debug. And that's the idea of debugging, it's remove bugs. That's why we call it debugger, okay? Should be okay, this example? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So you have some exercises again, you can just go through, isolate and integrate. That should be fine, but let's see an example of the error. We don't have any example for error, but I want to show you what do I mean. Let's click on this one here. Declaration mistake. So what are the errors here and what are all of this stuff here? So let me get rid of this one here because I already add this stuff. What's the message? What's this stuff, this stuff, this stuff, and this stuff. So what the hell is an error? Well, the error is simply, if I open my dev tools like that, if I run my program in JavaScript, so let's try to run our program. Actually, I have nothing because I already fixed the error. So let me remove the fix. And let's try to run our code, and voila, that's what we call an error. Of course, an error is easy to fix. As you can see, it's telling you already, if you go to line 20 here, it's telling you the problem here is at line 20. And if I go to line 20 here, now I can easily find this error here. So it's quite simple, actually. But we need to know how to fill these questions. So all the time, whenever we have an error, we have some question here, and we need to answer this question. That's our error, as you can see. So first, what is the environment we are using? The environment simply means, is it browser or is it Node? Are you using Node or browser?
Node.
No.
The browser.
Browser, sorry.
The browser. Node, it's something else.
Yeah.
So what we are doing here, we are using the browser. Which type of browser we are using?
Chrome.
Chrome.
Cool.
Why do we need to mention Chrome? Because as I told you, different browser has different JavaScript engine, and sometimes this message, it will be different from one browser to another. Now, the majority of developer programmer for at least for development, they are using Chrome, so it's a good idea to stick with Chrome. Okay, now here say name. What is the name? It's this one here. That's the name. Reference error. So we have reference error, we have syntax error, we have different type of error here. What is the name of the error? It's this one, this part here, reference error. I just need to copy it and need to paste it here. Voila. That's the name of the error. What is the message? Well, that's the message. Voila. Voila, I will just put it here. What is the location? Well, which line here we have? At line?
20.
20, line 20.
20. life cycle, I will just explain it now. So what is life cycle? Normally the error, we have two different life cycle. We have something called creation phase and we have something called execution phase. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say, just to make it very simple, I'll show you an example here. So let me just do here, and it's just a const. And here, what I'm going to do, after that, I can just say wealth like that. It's equal to something like that. Now, in some cases, when I just run my code here, of course, I will get the error here. In some cases, when I have an error, I will not be able to see anything in my browser. So when the JavaScript engine try to create my program, it encounter a problem and even it cannot start my program. If that's the case, that's what we call creation phase. It tried to create my program and after that, it just didn't work here. It cannot create my program. So that's what we call creation phase. Execution phase, while I'm going line by line through my code, then I encounter the problem. What do I mean by that? Let's debug and see here. Voila. So if I put a breakpoint at line 25 here, let's put it here, and let's try to go through this one. So as you can see, now I'm executing my code. That means my program has been created. Now I'm trying to execute my code. At line 25 here, I did not encounter any error. And while here, now after that, when I reach line 27, then I encounter the problem or the error, as you can see. So that this error, it will be in the execution phase, because simply when I'm just trying to run my program here, it does not encounter any problem. It creates my program without any problem. When I reach line 20, there is no problem. My code is working. But when I reach line 22, then the problem appears. And that's what we called execution phase, because I'm trying to execute my code line by line, then I find the error. But in some cases, when you do your program and just open it in live server, you will find directly there is a message, there is an error, and even you don't see anything in your browser. In that case, that's what will be creation phase. Is the idea clear? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes.
So here, is it a creation phase or execution phase? I would say it's execution phase. Execution phase, because simply here, if I put a breakpoint on line 20, my program, it will be created without any problem. But when I go execute my code and reach line 22, then I will encounter this error. So it's execution phase. What is the mistake? So let me remove this mistake here, and let's keep on the old mistake here. What is the mistake here? Or what is the error? Well,
We do not declare reference error like this. We cannot we are not declared the variable, and we are using our
undeclared variable. What is the name of the variable? Well, how can I fix it?
we can
Just declare
declare
declared variable.
Declare it using what? Const or voila. And now here, if I put const or let, both will work.
Sam, var must know, var right now it's not exist in JavaScript.
Var?
Yeah.
I told you never use var.
Okay, but it exists in JavaScript, or it
Of
doesn't
course, it
exist?
exists in JavaScript. Yes, I've
Okay.
explained before. So we have 4 ways to declare a variable in JavaScript. Var, or even not use any keyword. So I can do that in JavaScript, but I told you never use var, never use undeclared variable. You need to use all the time const and let.
Okay.
Do you know now how to do these errors here? So the environment should be simple all the time, the same as the name of the error, just a reference error. It's called name. The message should be easy. The location should be easy. The mistake should be easy, and the fix should be easy. Now, here maybe a little bit new for you. It's the execution phase or the creation phase.
It's simply is like that. If you put a breakpoint at the first line here, and then you try to run your code, if you found when you try to run your code, you found the error directly at the first line, even before the first line here, oh, that's what you call creation phase. JavaScript try to create your program and cannot. But if I put a breakpoint at line 1 and I create run and it's not an error, it reached everything is fine, and then I encounter an error after I step line by line, then that it will be execution phase. Yes or no?
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
mean if we categorize bugs and errors, bugs mean if you have a problem in your code, in your program regarding logic, or program is not working according to your need, that is bug. And errors are syntax errors, are declaration errors, are in your like this, if I'm not wrong, but I have.
Okay, a bug that means your code is working but is not working as you want to. This one could be syntax error. That means you have a problem with the syntax because each language has a rules. So you're just your code, your VS Code, it directly tell you if you have a syntax error. It's easy to distinguish. Or maybe you have syntax error, reference error. So when you are try to define reference, define a variable like that, you have some problem here. Or you could have logical error. Logical errors, that mean you are doing something not correct in your program. Your program is working. It's not an error really, but I mean your calculations are not correct. So for example, if I try to add 1 plus 1, I'm expecting to give me 2, but it give me 11. So that's mean here, whatever happened, probably I'm passing to string and just concatenate them. That's logical error. You in your browser here, if you go to the log or console, you'll find no error because simply JavaScript, it's not an error, it's a bug. And the bug here, you need to fix it. No, actually, just a second. My mistake, sorry for that. So bug, it's working, but not as you want to. As I told you, most of the time here, it will be a logical problem. So what do I mean by logical problems? That mean, well, you are doing something incorrect. And for the browser here, for JavaScript engine, it's not a problem because everything is okay. When it comes to error, all the time, you'll find something in the console. You find the error type. You have different type, syntax error, reference error. Also, we have even sometimes logical error. Is the idea clear? The easy way to distinguish between the two is if you find some message error here in the console, that's an error. If you don't find, but your program is not working as you want to, it's a bug. Yes?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Right, review, we have just one example here. So is the bugs and the error are quite clear or not?
Yes.
Okay, let me go and open my VS Code just to show you another example. JavaScript. Okay. So for some reason, let's say I'm logging here. And I can just see execution phase. Voila. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just declare any variable I want to. So let me declare name. Our name, let's just try to age. It's equal to 30. And as you can see here, I'm not using any keyword to define this variable. I told you that's not really wrong in JavaScript, but this is very bad practice. So of course, if I'm going to use strict, and now when you use strict here, it will show me as actually an error. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just go and open my live server here. Just like that. So click on that here. So what is the easiest way to know if I am inside execution phase or creation phase? Well, what you can do here is that you can just console.log like I said here. After the first line, I cannot put this one the first line. Why? Because I'm using use strict, and use strict by convention, as I told you, must be the first line. I can come to the second line and I can type console.log execution phase. If I see this execution phase in the console, if it's log, that means it is execution phase. If I don't see it, that means it's creation phase. Let's go to my console and let's do that. So as you can see, I see execution phase. After that, I am seeing this error. So that means here, it's not a creation phase, because if it's creation phase, I will not be able to see anything in my console. Okay, I will not be able to see this log here in my console. Because what's happening here, JavaScript actually, it come to my code, it create my program, and after that, it try to go line by line here. And when it reached line 2, it's okay, everything is fine. Line 3, it's fine. When it reached line 4, then the problem occur, then the error occur. So that's that execution phase, because it try to execute line 1, line 2, line 3, then it go to line 4. But if I did not see this log in my console, that means it is a creation phase. So that's very easy way to know which phase is the error in execution or creation phase. Yes?
Yeah.
Perfect. To be honest, it will not be very helpful for you if you know what phase it is, but I mean, it's quite sometimes interesting to know which phase we are. Just console.log the line you have. If you don't have use strict, you can put it the first line. If you have it, you put it the second line. Check the console. If you have console.log execution phase like that, that means it is actually execution phase. If you don't see anything in the console, that means it is creation phase. If you have any question, please let me know so I can review it for you. If you don't have it, or what you need to do here, you go to the lesson plan and try to do the error and bugs. And after that, when you are done, you can go and complete this one here. What's programming? Just enough JavaScript. Depend where you are currently. Understand programming and developer and programs. Yes?
Yeah.
No question?
Sam, I'm sorry. I want to ask you.